Hi, I'm Michael Kingsbury, the writer-director of GULAG MAGADAN. It is a film about dissidents in the Marxist USSR Gulag during the 1970s. And this is going to be a film commentary going through scene by scene and giving my explanation, a commentary of the various subtexts that are in the film. Okay, hope you enjoy it. Here we go.
Plye Katcha po Tysyni. Mamko moja, nie laje meni. Mamko moja, nie laje meni.
There's an interesting component here in the title sequence, which I designed, is that the actors, the characters, have their faces partially cut off, their eyes and their heads, the top of their heads cut off, to represent the dehumanization of the victims of the Gulag system. How they were thought of as cattle and animals, not human beings. And I wanted to capture that in the title sequence. I wanted to give the feeling to the viewer that it was destroyed people, and partial people, not whole people. And we're going to continue.
Залаєш mi złu годину, залаєш mi złu годину. Ой, сам не знаю, де погину, сам не знаю, де погину.
As you can see, most of the production credits are myself, because I had to do it myself. I didn't have the money to hire a large crew. It was a very bare-bones crew. I worked all year long, and I would be able to afford a paying crew that would consist of a sound person at the very minimum, location sound person, and maybe a gaffer or a grip as a secondary crew in some of the interior shots. But with the Gulag Magadan, the budget was very low, and under $2,500. And I had to be very careful on how I spent the money and to finish the film. There's no excuses. You get the film done. So I had to do a lot of the work myself. This is why I'm listed in the credits several times here.
W cudzym kraju, pohynu ja w cudzym kraju. Oj, ktoż mi bude brati jamu, ktoż mi bude.
The snow particles that you see drifting upwards in the title sequence, they represent the souls, the spirits of the Gulag victims, the tens of millions, the 65 million that were killed in the Gulag system. Of the snow reversing its gravity, and people going back up into heaven, or into the spirit world up above. It's a reverse of the physics of the snow falling. And I wanted to convey that. It's a reversal of fate, so to speak.
Брати яму, ой, виберуть мі чужі люди,
Finding snow, as you can see here, it's a giant snow forest. It's quite deep, actually, and to find this kind of snow and snow-packed within 100, 200 miles of LA is always difficult. There's many years we just have droughts and we don't have any snow, even up at 9,000 feet. But this year of the film, the year that this film was made, there was quite a bit of snowpack up at the high country, and so we lucked out. And of course, snow doesn't cost anything. You have to engineer the driving, and it's cold temperatures up there. It's very difficult because by the time you get up there, 200 miles out of Los Angeles, and everyone is carpooled and rendezvoused at the location, then you have to apply the makeup. And you have to apply the makeup for pretty close to 15 minutes per actor. So you're looking at maybe an hour and a half of makeup application in the freezing cold. No one's moving around. They're stamping their feet. I had to apply the makeup myself. I didn't have a makeup artist in this film. And it was extremely difficult to apply the makeup to all of the actors after you've driven 200 miles and you've only had a few hours sleep at night because you've been on the phone constantly, making sure that the production is going to go off the next day. Answering questions is a lot of it. And once you start to shoot in the winter, the days aren't very long. So you're up at 8,000 feet. It's cold. You've already lost maybe 3 hours of driving and putting on makeup and all of the props, the boots, the clothing, and tromping through the forest for up to half a mile in deep, deep snow and getting up to the location. And then you start to roll film. You start to shoot. And it's people have no concept. Most people think that movies are made with very large crews and everyone does a small part of it, and that's true if you have money. If you don't have money, you have to do virtually everything yourself. I did the camera work on this film. I shot this film. I did the makeup, I did the props, did the location management, did the PA work, did all the calls. The only thing I didn't do was the sound location booming operations. And even some of them I double mic'd with lavs and did my own mic tests. We'll get into that later.
You do not exist as individuals, only as a collective. You do not have any rights. You belong to the state. You are human cattle. You are human slaves. The small your sacrifice awards the glory of Mars and Lenin. Is up 3,000 electric tons.
What I like about this scene is you can hear in the background the sound effects which I built of the camp commandant talking about the propaganda of the Soviet system. What the gulags were all about was cheap labor. A lot of it was raw materials, but not all of it. And it was exported to the Western countries, which basically subsidized this genocide of the Russian and Ukrainian people. By buying this cheap raw materials. In this case, this is a geologic team, trenching and mining team that they ran. Extremely cruel teams in the middle of winter. Most mining and trenching operations are run when there's no snow on the ground and it's not freezing cold. And it's habitable. If you try to run these kinds of mining operations in winter, the ground is frozen. It's insane. I mean, you have very high loss in terms of the labor involved to crack frozen rock and go through snow and pick and hammer your way through frozen soil to do the trenching and the sampling. I mean, they just threw the labor into it, and the labor was killed. There was thousands of the small mining gulag camps in Magadan and in Siberia. And the propaganda speaker in the background is talking about the production, which was what it was all about.
I remember you talking about how you used to work, and
This is the first barrack scene in which the audience is introduced to the two main dissidents in the female barracks, and they begin to talk about their pasts and also trying to figure out why they're in there. One of the main thesis of the film is that the dissidents don't know the whole story, and when they talk to each other, that's when they begin to understand more of the story. And it's so important that dissidents that we do talk to each other so that we can understand the wider picture. It's critical.
intelligence.
Yes. Ironically, Soviets trust me because I am not Russian. I'm Karelian. I grew up orphan. I had no family. Soviets take me in and train me from early age. Because I never trust anybody, I gain ability to read people's faces and tell if they're lying or truthful. I wrote GRU book on passive interrogation.
This scene, this character actually is based on my mother, and I didn't tell the actors that. Didn't want to have them draw other things into it and become insecure about performing it. But Elizabeth, the main character here, mastermind. Well, she was an orphan to begin with, and so she had the ability to read what men were thinking and how they wanted to use her as orphans. Find out early in life, and so she could read people. She was very, very good at reading people. Both the real life character and Elizabeth, the written character in this film.
I was brilliant. I was beautiful. You should have seen how men talked to me. I was promoted to GRU officer when I was 26.
Then why? What happened? Why are you here?
I found documents of genocide of USSR Russian people.
What docs?
Population deaths, economy.
Yes, more, and what were they?
I.A. Kurganov. Statistics, economic statistics on population changes.
Who is Kurganov?
He was Leningrad professor, economics professor.
This is key because Solzhenitsyn on page 10 of Gulag Archipelago talks about I.A. Kurganov as being the a Soviet statistician, an economics professor, which he relies on to publish the statistics for the 66 million, I believe he says. Well, he actually does say 66 million, Solzhenitsyn. And this film talks about who that person is on that page of Solzhenitsyn. So it's fairly educational, and it's extremely educational and vital to our modern society to understand where the 65 million figure came from, at least from the Solzhenitsyn aspect.
Compiled statistics showing 65 million people killed by USSR in Gulag death camp genocide 1917-1956.
This genocide we are in.
So, you were a commissar's mistress, right?
Look at how beautiful is that assembly of rags and lines and...
This is when the other main character, Larissa, begins to go through her expository of her past character, and when she's first asked about it, of course, she drifts off into her imaginary world, as a lot of rape victims do. They disassociate from reality, and she immediately goes onto a different level. She's not engaging in reality. It's a great performance by Catherine Galanova here, and in bringing her character to life, showing the layers of reality that a rape victim has, and there was millions of women who were raped in the leftist communist Gulag camps, and this is the first film, actually. The first human rights film, the first civil rights film that addresses the women who were raped, the rape camps of the Soviet Gulag system. As much as Hollywood tries to portray itself as champions of human rights and civil rights, it's not the case. There's tens of millions of women raped from over a 70-year period in the Marxist USSR Gulag system. And I wanted to make sure that this film, it didn't show, the actual crimes of rape, or it was, voyeuristic of showing the external, the outside view of rape, but it showed the internal, psychological view of the aftermath of what rape does to a person, how they act, how they live, and the different layers that they have for survival. And the film goes in several scenes into in-depth about the psychological layers and survival mechanisms that these type of rape victims had. So let's watch some more of this.
Carved barrel stove is... When I was at university, I was artist, painter, could see so much beauty in the world. And I would go to great lengths to capture that. Yes, Commissar saw me at university. He wanted me. He said I would go to Gulag unless I was his mistress.
Typical. They want to destroy all beauty.
I bore that commissar a son.
It's a very critical scene. And they're talking about how the Marxists, how the commissars wanted essentially to destroy beauty. And it's this destruction of beauty that is at the heart or at the core of communism. They called much of art bourgeois. They called it selfish. They called it emotional, individual, and it's the destruction of beauty, the destruction of the Russian nation, the destruction of Russian culture, Russian art, Russian music. The beauty of Russian society is what the communists were jealous of and what they wanted to destroy. And the scene several times talks about how you could tell a communist by how they wanted to destroy beauty. And this is an eternal truth.
I'm sorry.
Then I insulted him one time. One single time.
Oh, you didn't insult great supremacist Commissar, did you?
He was sent to Communist Party brothel. He was a sex slave.
Talking about sex slaves here, which was a huge part of the USSR. A lot of hotels were turned into brothels for Communist Party brothels. You'd see an old hotel that used to be a pretty nice hotel, 2-star hotel maybe, 3-star, and it had a red carpet out still, all nice inside, red carpets, looks glamorous, bars on the upper windows to prevent the women from committing suicide, and it was a brothel. They turned the hotels into brothels for the Communist Party members. Oh, there's a lot I can tell about the USSR. And this film talks about all of this. This scene, how she was held, how Larissa was held in the Communist Party brothel right here. That happened. A lot of that happened. And we need more films on it, too.
After night, day after day, young sons of city commissars would come to rape me, telling me how they were going to destroy my beauty, telling me how I was blonde, blue eyes, dumb Russian whore.
Weren't they Russian too?
No. They looked ugly, they thought ugly, spiritually ugly. Was Trotsky Russian? Was Stalin Russian? No, they hate everything beautiful.
This is true. You're right. They hate our beauty. They are ugly.
Lisa.
A key scene about how the communists, the Marxists, the Bolsheviks were not Russian. In fact, they hated Russians. And this is the most delicate way I can make this film and have it performed without being more explicit about why they hated Russians and why they were not Russians. And it goes into the whole subject of genocide. And how does genocide happen? Genocide, we have seen in history, usually happens when one ethnic group is mass murdering another ethnic group. And in the Soviet Union, you had an ethnic group that wasn't Russian murdering the Russians. For one, Stalin wasn't a Russian. Stalin was a Georgian. So who put Stalin, a Georgian, a non-Russian, in charge of the Soviet Union? And he killed tens of millions of people. He committed genocide. Of course he did, because he wasn't Russian. And you can't escape this in history. You can't escape that one ethnic group is killing another ethnic group. Anyway, but this is a key scene about how they were not Russian, and people have to know that.
I know what you're going through with the rapes. One told me that he was going to breed me out of existence, that I wouldn't recognize my own children.
They told me that.
Wow, that's quite a line that Larissa tells Elisabetta that the commissar told her that he was going to breed her out of existence, that she wouldn't recognize her own children. That's something to think about. Yeah, I don't think that's ever been in a film before. But it explains why there are so many rapes. There's always a motivation for rape, and jealousy, hatred, and destruction. You want to, the rapist wants to destroy the other person, and breeding them out of existence, breeding their genes, their genetics out of existence is one way to destroy that person or that ethnic group. We've seen ethnic cleansing through rape camps several times in history, and one of the first major ones was in the USSR. All right, and thank you for watching. And this is the first director commentary on Gulag Magadan. I'm running a test of these just to try to engage people more and try to get them to care about these issues of genocide and Marxism, communism, history, humanity, human rights, civil rights. Anyway, thank you for watching, and this is Michael Kingsbury. I'm the writer-director of Gulag Magadan.